The most amazing chicken cutlets is the easiest thing that you can make, and I'm going to show you how. We're going to walk through preparing some chicken cutlets, basically for sandwiches or chicken parmesan. When you have a chicken breast, there's always a thin end and a thick end. I always like to basically make it the same thickness, so this is actually going to make two cutlets, one larger one, one smaller one. So I'm just going to cut this little guy off, almost like a chicken tender. And like when I'm making this, that's going to be like a cutlet. This is going to be like what I would use for a chicken parm. I'm going to do the same with all of this. And I like to just basically get it a little bit flattened out. To do that, plastic wrap and just something and beat it. So now that I got all my chicken, I like to season it and actually basically use the flour as a seasoning. So we do flour, egg, breadcrumb. So I do a little bit of salt, pepper. This is optional, but I like to season everything I cook. And then I just like to throw a little bit of the flour on there. You just want to dry them off a little bit so the egg sticks to it. So there we go. Everything's nice coated in the flour. I'm just going to do one. Go with our egg. And again, I don't like using and wasting a lot of this stuff. So this is 2 eggs for about 2 pounds of chicken. Whoa. Then I start in my plate with a little bit of breadcrumb. I do that. I'll go on top with a little bit, and then I'll just use what's on the plate to essentially coat this. And I like to use my hands because you can actually get it packed on there. And I'll wash in between. Usually you could do 1 or 2 before you get these like glove hands. And once everything's packed on there nicely, just rest it on a tray. Alright, so there's my cutlets. I would say minimum let them sit 20 minutes before you fry them. I'm going to put them in the fridge for like maybe 2 or 3 hours before I fry these up. And notice, minimal waste, a little bit of cleanup, but you're cooking. You got to clean something. Here's a little grated cheese tip while I'm in the middle of steps here, making chicken parm, vodka sauce, a lot of different things. So grated cheese, I always like to use this little like microplane grater. The problem is what happens when you do it, it's kind of really stringy and it melts very quickly. It's not like the grated cheese that you buy in the store. Then there's this box grater. This is too big, these holes. This is like slices and it almost never works unless you have something like super soft. This is essentially the same thing as that, but then there's this side which is like these sticky kind of things. That's what you actually want to use. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little grating here. And you just go against it, and it's gonna seem like it's not working, right? But watch what happens when you pick up. I could do a little more. You got to put a little pressure. Takes a little work, and what you get is like it's like little round balls of cheese, and that's gonna be perfect to sprinkle over pasta or like chicken parm. All right, ready to fry our cutlets. I actually have 2 different types of oil, and I actually have 2 different types of pans here. The whole idea is this is not going to fit in one pan, so we're going to cook it in 2, and I'm not going to use a lot of oil. I'm going to do like a coating here of like a vegetable oil, a few tablespoons, and I'm going to do the same in here. I'm just distributing these between the 2 things. So I didn't finish that. I got a tablespoon, make salad with that. And then I like a little olive oil for taste. And we're not deep frying. You don't need to deep fry, especially when you're making a small batch. All right, ready to go in the oil. This was the bigger piece. I'm going to go in here. You just want to get a nice little bubble up like that. Do a smaller piece there. This small guy here. Now I could have done this in batches, but what happens is when you fry in this little oil, the breadcrumb sticks to the bottom and then it'll burn, and then in the next batch it'll kind of be a little bit more brown. So this is more of an aesthetic thing. All right, and this first pan is ready for a flip. So we're going to do that. Now these thicker boys are actually going to bake with some cheese and sauce, just like chicken parm. So those are okay if they don't fully cook, but the thinner ones definitely got to get fully cooked. These need another minute. And to that effect, what I'm going to do is, this guy is going to be for my son's chicken parm. I'm going to go right onto the pan I'm going to bake in. This one is for mine. This is going to be for a later date. Subscribe. Of course, got to taste it. Got a little piece that fell off the side, you know what I mean? The classic. I used to eat this almost every day growing up. Absolutely amazing, nice and crunchy. A little bit of taste of olive oil in there. Seasoned breadcrumbs, so good. Chicken parm is the easiest thing to put together once you have the chicken cutlets already done. We have that covered. Now for me, I know the snobs are going to come out of the woodwork. I buy my vodka sauce at the store. This brand, and they don't sponsor me, makes something very similar to what I make at home. So we're going to use that. What I like to do is actually, I don't like it drenched in sauce. So I just put a couple of tablespoons of this right out of the jar on top of my chicken. 3 tablespoons, and I don't cover the entire thing because I want those crispy edges. For cheese, I like to buy the deli block mozzarella. You can find this in your deli, or you can ask them to slice it for you at the deli counter at the grocery. 2 slices of that, and then this is grated Romano cheese. I like to put a little bit of that on top, and that's like how I like to eat my chicken parm, because I like to have it on the side with pasta or put that on a sandwich. All right, now that's ready to bake. Like 9 or 10 minutes, just enough time to cook the pasta. 425. Here's how I prepare rigatoni with vodka sauce. I have here about a gallon of water that's boiling with a punch of salt. That goes in. On the package it says 14 minutes to cook that pasta. This is a half a pound of pasta. I know that I'm going to actually cook it also in the sauce. This is a half a jar of vodka sauce with about a quarter cup of water just to thin it out a little bit. I'm going to go 12 minutes and then finish it in the sauce. All right, it's about time to pull this chicken parmesan. Oh, perfect. Look at that. Unreal. Could put it under the broiler if you want it a little bit more cooked, but that looks incredible. All right, it's about time to pull this pasta. Now look, I could use this slotted spoon to get all of it, but I have this spider. It just makes it easier to kind of fish it all out of there. So I'm going to come in, and you notice it increased in size considerably, and I'm just going to transfer from one pot to the other. You want to get a little of that pasta cooking water, nice and starchy, but also it's going to help dilute this kind of creamy, sticky sauce at this point. We'll worry about cleaning up after. And like I said, the last couple of minutes you're going to just cook in this. Now I have this at the lowest possible heat setting that it can go to. And you're just going to toss. That is it. This actually could use a little bit more water. And I'm actually going to just use the pot. Put about a half a cup of water in there. And just use that, turn this up a little bit. Alright, this is essentially ready. I'm going to kill the heat. And I'm going to just finish tossing her up. I'm going to come to my plate. Go on a little bit. Notice I got my chicken parm. We made that last time. Whoa. Where are the dogs when you need them, right? I almost forgot one last finishing touch, grated cheese. We went through all that with the grated cheese and I forgot to put it on there. There you go. Absolute perfection. Little red wine, let's do it. All right, time to cut into this bad boy. So good. Look at that. Cooked all the way through. Absolutely perfect. I mean, you knew it was going to be good. Vodka sauce is just a little bit creamier to go on chicken parm, and once you discover that, you're almost never going to go back to marinara. I do it sometimes, but so amazing. All right, let's go in a little rigatoni vodka sauce. Love it. The way I cook the pasta, it's got a little bite to it, a little chew, and you need that. Trying not to chew with my mouth full. But so good, nice and sweet. This is the perfect comfort food.